Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Random Builds. And today we've built a MoonCruiser. And what we thought about building, we were thinking I wanted to have something like a cruise liner on this beautiful moon here. And what would that look like in No Man's Sky? And this is what I came up with. It's basically a miniature freighter. It's comprised mostly of infrastructure and cuboid rooms. A little dome and light thrown in there. It's pretty impressive looking, hanging there over the island. And it took about 3 hours to build and get fully done. You can see the control room inside there. I think it's really impressive. Let's get the sun change, give you a look at the work here. Maybe just to change a little bit of the design up around the place, make it look more mismatched and authentic rather than one straight colour. We added a landing pad, which was awkward to say the least, but works pretty well. If you imagine a big cruise liner going around the moon, I imagine it would have a couple of landing pads, but build limits, what are you going to do? We'll go up here and look at the bridge. It was a lot of fun to make this. It was a little frustrating at times, but once you get that initial first block of infrastructure straight on, you're sorted. Let's go into the control room. Center console, borrowed from the TARDIS build. Just a few screens in that to make it look lived in. A couple of the lads and their consoles. We'll pop into the cargo hall, I think. Yep. And there we see our cargo hold, which could fit. I was thinking about putting an exocraft on here, but build limits got the better of me. We'll head upstairs. Whoop. Up to the bridge. The bridge is inspired by the USS Enterprise. It's the same kind of design. That's pretty fun to look at. And I was thinking when I was building this, it would be great if we could build anywhere on the planets, because this sitting over water would be brilliant. And then I remembered we've got a terrain manipulator, so let's see if we can blast away all the water. But that took about an hour, and I wasn't even a quarter of the way removing all the land. So I thought of a different method. I thought, what if we switched it up and used the terrain manipulator to make the planet look like it was alive? And what would that look like for our MoonCruiser? So we'll look at that next, once we get another quick look at the infrastructure around here. And this is all doable on PlayStation 4, although this was built in creative mode. If you had the resources, you could do it on normal mode. And if you do decide to build something like this, I would like to see it. I love seeing other people's builds. Any inspiration really is good with me. Always good to support people that like the same game as you do. So yeah, there's the MoonCruiser. And now what would happen to that MoonCruiser if a planet came alive like a symbiote? Well, as you can see, nothing good. So we use the terrain manipulator to just basically build these giant tentacles that looks like they've taken control. And it looks pretty epic. It also looks a bit like a dumpster fire of terrain manipulation, which it is. I fully support that. I am not good at the terrain manipulation yet. It's going to take a lot of practice before we can really add that to our random builds where it doesn't look like a hot mess like this. But I think this came back very Lovecraftian. I like how it turned out. It's almost as if the roots of the moon we're on has started to take control. And this is just basically a very messy example of what can be done with terrain manipulation and your base. As I said, I wanted to have it all dug out below, but what can we do? And the original base overrun. But this design itself fitted in pretty well with the shape of the MoonCruiser. Over the engines and stuff. And as I say, it's very Lovecraftian. What I wouldn't mind is having the terrain manipulation inside the buildings. Like if you get a brick coming through one of the windows like there in the front, you could continue building inside, but we can't take out our multi-tools when we're indoors. It would be rude. Fly on down here. Take a look at the control room, which is surprisingly untouched by all these tentacles. It's very polite. As we say, we built the center console there from just tables, and you can layer the screens and the panels there on top of the tables. Makes a nice little structure. And our cargo hold. More tentacles. Over this dead ship. And yeah, I think that'll pretty much do it for episode 12. Just a small example of what can be done with the terrain manipulation and a bit of imagination. If you enjoyed this build, let us know. I'm not going to ask you to like or subscribe because, as always, that's dumb. And yeah, that'll do it. Thanks so much everybody that watches and comments and supports my work. Ray Reynolds on Twitter and a couple of Irish folk on the subreddit. These are all great and this community is great. I'm so glad we can share it all together. So have a good day, folks. Thanks for watching, folks. See you again next time.